Okay, you guys, we are going to cozy up today and talk about PowerSheets and all the things that I don't like about them. Hey everybody, I am Mackenzie Coppin. I'm the creator and podcaster behind Live Well Anyway, a platform that is for women who are just real ladies who are interested in wellness and planning and creating better lives for ourselves and fashion and makeup and skincare, all while trying to exist with real normal life that's a bit chaotic and living well in the midst of it. And just so you know, they decided to blow out my sprinklers right when I decided to film this video, but I don't have any other time because this is real life and I have children who are about to come home from school, so here we go. In today's episode, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking all about PowerSheets. I have been a PowerSheets user for years. I have used them through all different phases of my life, and I've really enjoyed being able to compare every year from year to year with PowerSheets because you really walk through that process of assessing where you are at exactly in your life at that moment, where you want to go, what things you're interested in, what goals you have. It is a goal planner. But I've also discovered some drawbacks over the years as I have tried to actively use PowerSheets, some things that I've thought, oh, how could I use this better? Or how could it be done differently? Or what is it actually going to take for me to use PowerSheets in my life? Because that's one of the number one complaints that I hear from people. They invest in PowerSheets, they're excited, they go all in, and then they don't use them because whatever reason, it feels overwhelming or they aren't using the tending list. We're gonna get into all of that today. And so we can dive in a little bit deeper and see exactly what I don't love about PowerSheets. Okay, we're gonna dive in right away with the first thing that I don't really utilize about PowerSheets. It's not that I don't think it's well designed. I think it is. It's the tending list. It's that list that obviously I did not fill out, that you're supposed to come back to every day. It's got daily items that you're going to check off, weekly items, monthly action items. If your life is simple, I guess this could be a really great place to track all of that. For me personally, I don't find that this is where I go to track those sorts of things, to do that sort of planning. That sort of planning for me happens digitally. Really, PowerSheets are the only thing that I do analog anymore. And I love doing them analog, but all the rest of my planning, because I constantly have to be mobile, I'm constantly doing so many things, it all happens digitally in either Google Calendar or Trello. And I have one Google Calendar video that's out already. I will be coming out with more about both Google Calendar and Trello and how I plan my daily tasks and run my business and all of that. But as far as my year-long goals, looking at the year ahead, I really do prefer PowerSheets. But as far as like this tending list, this daily, weekly thing that I'm supposed to check in on, I don't utilize it. And I think that's okay. I think some people do. I'm not like, oh, well, I'm gonna get rid of this whole thing because I don't use this page. But for me, this page just doesn't really work. And for a lot of people that I've talked to, this is kind of where they've gotten caught up and they feel like they're a failure because they aren't doing this page consistently. And I sort of wanna dispel that notion. I wanna say, go ahead and don't use this page. There are so many other valuable pages in PowerSheets that you can be utilizing that are very effective. Don't let this page be your make it or break it. I use PowerSheets more to plan my yearly goals, to plan out my month, look at what's to come, what I want to be doing that month. I utilize the calendar even for planning out some content ideas and just kind of like brainstorming on a paper calendar for what I have coming up that month. Not like the things that we have going on with appointments and whatnot. That all lives in Google Calendar. But it's a great place for me to say like, okay, every Tuesday I want to be producing this sort of content with my platform. Every Monday this is what's going to come out. Using it that way or tracking when I have accomplished things, like I got in this many auditions today. I'm a voiceover actor, if you didn't know that. Voiceover actor and podcaster. So I will track how many auditions I got in or what things I actually got accomplished. For me, that's a great place to put that, use that main calendar for. But it's not the calendar that I'm using for my everyday dates and things that are going on and appointments and that sort of thing. That's just not what I use it for. But if you tweak the way that you are thinking about using the PowerSheets, like I have done with utilizing that monthly calendar, I think it can be a much more effective tool because you're making it work for you. Another thing that I have found to be really frustrating about PowerSheets is when they have their quarterly refreshes, which I love. Second to planning out your whole year and thinking about the year as a whole that you do at the beginning of the year with all of those pages at the beginning of the planner, the quarterly refresh part of the planner is my favorite. I absolutely love it. I think it's well done. It's a good time to just kind of like recheck in on things, reevaluate, see where you want to go. But the thing that annoys me, which I'm very happy to report they changed for 2023. We'll get to that in a second. But what has annoyed me has been that when you pull open the tab, like for instance, I'm gonna pull open the April tab, I want to go to my April planning pages, but it takes me to the refresh. I have thought for years that the refresh needed to be at the end of the last quarter, and thankfully they have done that. It's something that has annoyed me in the past, but hallelujah, they've gone ahead and fixed it, and now you can get right to what you're looking for, but that has been one of the things. Another thing that has frustrated me about PowerSheets and has made them a little bit less accessible to me has been their sheer size. These puppies are heavy. It is a big book. And if I am going to work in a coffee shop or someplace like that, and I want to keep my work mobile, this is a lot to be carrying with me. So the size issue, it's a thing, but it's another thing that they fixed for 2023, which I'm really happy about. We're gonna get to that in a second. So those are some of my top things that have made PowerSheets feel less effective for me. There are certain pages that I just haven't used, but once I kind of got over trying to use them the way that they were intended by the creator and use them to fit my own needs, the PowerSheets started feeling a lot more accessible and like I could utilize them more often. Also not letting myself be held back by wanting them to look pretty, because PowerSheets are pretty. That's part of the appeal of PowerSheets. It's one of the prettiest goal planners that's out there. But when I get hung up on wanting to keep them pretty, then I don't utilize them the way that I should be utilizing them. So when I kind of get past all that, let me see if I can find a page as an example of getting past all that. When I can just, oh, see, they use the refresh pages at the beginning of the chapter. When I can make it not pretty and I can just start throwing things on the page and not really caring if it looks beautiful, I use my PowerSheets a lot more often and a lot more effectively. Now let's get into some of the things about the 2023 PowerSheets, some of the changes that they made, things that I am actually excited about, because if you haven't figured out by now, yes, there are things I do not like about PowerSheets, but they are far less than the things that I absolutely love about PowerSheets, the things that keep me coming back from year to year to year. So I went ahead and I got the blue this year. Obviously I had this tan linen color last year, which I loved, but they decided to go with a leatherette cover for the tan version this year, which I just wasn't into. I really like the linen, so I went with blue. Let's break her open. Let's look at these puppies. So the packaging is always so beautiful, so well done. Here they are. Look how pretty. Okay, right off the bat, you guys, big, huge difference. Look at the size difference. This one weighs so much. This one is so much more streamlined. They have done away with a lot of superfluous pages that weren't really doing anything. In fact, because I really like being able to get straight to my calendar, as I already mentioned with this last year's version, now they took out the divider pages. And when you open a tab, it takes you straight to the calendar. There's no more tab page just for that. And they've added all of the monthly planning stuff to the front of this page. So they've just kind of streamlined everything, done away with a lot of things that you don't actually need or may not utilize. They've made the planner, I think, much more effective. I've heard some people being frustrated about this. I'm not. I am not one of them. At first, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Are they not putting as much in here because it is so much smaller? But I literally went through page by page to compare from last year's version to this year's version, and I think I only found 1 or 2 pages that don't exist in this planner, and they were pages that I didn't really utilize anyway. I think they did a good job of evaluating what is in here and making it the most effective system possible for what you are actually trying to do with PowerSheets. So the whole first section, all the way up to January, all of that is all about planning your year, and you still have all of the goods. They've updated it. I think it's a little bit more like sleek and minimalistic, which is very much my style. I appreciate it. I really like it. I like the dot grids that they have added to a lot of pages, and it works you through all of those same processes that they do every year. So you kind of go from your big picture idea of your year to honing it down to thinking about what is holding you back, what you need to overcome, what good things there are, what challenges, what you've learned, like looking back at the last year. I always think that is so valuable before you move forward. I love these evaluation pages where you go through all of the different areas of your life. And again, don't let what they've put here hold you back from utilizing the PowerSheets. If you don't like all of these different categories that they have created, create your own categories. It's okay to scratch something out and make it your own category that fits your life. I do this almost every single year. Like for instance, this year they don't have like the significant other or primary focal relationship, I think is what it was called last year. They've done away with that category. If that is still a category you want, scratch out one of these other ones and put that back in there. Make it work for you. You are not bound to what they put on the page. It should be effective for your life. And I think once you can just get past that hurdle, they'll be so much more effective for you. But I think it's really good, like thinking about mindset. I really like this negative self-talk, positive self-talk thing, because that is definitely something that I struggle with in my life. So I think they've just done a really good job of helping you to work through from the big picture all the way down to the nitty-gritty of what you want to do in your year. It helps you to parcel out your goals all throughout the year. Again, you have those quarterly check-ins. You're looking at the beginning of each month to say, okay, what do I want to do this month? What are my important to-dos? What am I excited for? What's on my mind? I'm hopeful that, I'm saying no to, I'm saying yes to. Like you get to evaluate all of these things at the beginning of every month. And it's just such an effective little system if you let it be what it is and don't try to make it more than what it needs to be, if that makes sense. It's a great place to check in at the end of every month. It's got these pages at the end of each month where you can do the month in review. So what you're grateful for, good things, goals that are growing well. It's important to recognize like what kind of progress you're making, what's not working. That's also really important. What I read or listened to, favorite memories, all of these things I think just help us to get a good grasp of where we're at, because I know that I can fly through a month and just not really think about any of those things, move on to the next month, feel like I didn't really get anything done. But when I take the time to make note of them and then I can look back over them, I get to the end of my month or the end of my quarter or the end of my year and I realize, oh, no, I really did accomplish so much more than I give myself credit for. And I think that is something that a lot of us do. And so utilizing PowerSheets for both planning ahead, but also looking back, I think makes them an even more effective tool. And then being able to compare them from year to year to year and see what things are consistently holding you back. What kind of progress could you have made if you had just started today? Like my YouTube channel, it could be a lot further along if I'd started doing things a lot sooner. You know, there's so many things like that that I really love about PowerSheets. So no, do I use PowerSheets in all of the ways that they were intended? No, I don't. Could I just do without the tending list completely, which I think is like one of the things that they sell the hardest is the tending list? Yeah, it does not matter to me. I have already committed to not using it in the coming year. But there's so many other good things that I love about PowerSheets that I think you will too. If you're still on the fence, you feel like you just need a little bit more accountability, you need to be able to have other people that you're doing it with or talking about the process with, I've got the solution for you. Come over to the Live Well Anyway group on Facebook. I will be in there every month doing a live video talking about how I'm planning for the month to come, how things are going with my PowerSheets. We're going to have accountability posts in there. We're gonna have a whole community of people who are working on their PowerSheets together all throughout 2023, and I would love to have you come be a part of it. So again, come find our group on Facebook. Just search for Live Well Anyway, and you should be able to find us. We will also have the link in the description below. I also have a newsletter where I talk about all of the different content that is coming out across the Live Well Anyway platform. You can find that at mackenziekappa.com/news. I would love to have you be a part of it. I've got freebies for subscribers about all kinds of different things in the wellness, planning, live well space. So come over and join us at mackenziekappa.com/news. You can also find links to my podcast and all of that kind of thing by just going to mackenziekappa.com, and I've got all of that listed in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. There's much more to come. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you over in the Live Well Anyway community soon.